The air conditioning at the Manhattan Criminal Court, at 100 Center Street, hummed with that low frequency only those who spend their lives there recognize. Outside, the city was melting under the August heat. Inside, I felt a chill that had nothing to do with the temperature. It came from the man sitting across the aisle, adjusting the platinum cufflinks of his custom-made shirt. The press crowding the backbenches. He was Augusto Sampaio, the devil's advocate of Fifth Avenue, the man you call when the FBI knocks on your door at 6 in the morning. Me. He was the man who missed my graduation from Columbia because he was closing a plea deal. He was my father. We hadn't spoken a real word in 3 years. The last time was at my mother's funeral in Queens, where he spent the entire ceremony checking emails on his BlackBerry, as if her death were just another inconvenience in his schedule. Sophia, Lucas, my paralegal, whispered, handing me a red folder. Judge Goldberg is coming in 2 minutes. Are you focused? Lucas knew. The entire district attorney's office knew. The Sampaio versus Sampaio showdown was the headline of the New York Post this morning. I'm ready, Lucas. I took the folder. I looked at the defendant's table. There was Marcus Valila, the playboy heir to a real estate dynasty. The charge: manslaughter and fraud regarding the construction of a luxury building in Brooklyn that had partially collapsed, killing 3 immigrant workers. I had the engineering reports, I had the corporate emails, and I had the fury of public opinion. I had a winning case. But Valila had Augusto. At that moment, my father looked up. His dark eyes met mine. There was no paternal warmth there, only the calculating gaze of a predator assessing its prey. He tilted his head slightly, an ironic greeting. He didn't see a daughter. He saw just another idealistic ADA he planned to destroy before his lunchtime martini. All rise, the court officer shouted. Judge Goldberg entered, his black robe contrasting with the wood paneling of the courtroom. I sat down, straightening my back. I knew Augusto's game. He would try to sway the jury, confuse the facts, and use the Constitution as a shield for a monster. We are on the record for the case of the people of the state of New York versus Marcus Valila. The prosecution may make its opening statement. I stood up and walked to the center. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I began, my voice steady. This case is not about an accident. It is about greed. It is about how Mr. Valila chose to save money on cheap concrete at the cost of human lives. I was doing well. I felt the jury connecting with me. That was when I saw my father take a Montblanc pen, write something on a yellow legal pad, and slide it to Valila. The defendant read it and smiled, an arrogant smile that made my blood boil. When I finished, I sat down. It was the defense's turn. Augusto stood up. He didn't walk. He paraded. His confidence was palpable. Your Honor, his voice was soft but projected to reach the back row. My daughter, the prosecution, tells a compelling story, almost cinematic. But in New York, we convict based on facts, not narratives. He pulled a document from his Italian leather briefcase. Before we proceed, Your Honor, the defense would like to file a motion to dismiss the prosecution's key witness, Mr. Kowalski, the chief engineer. The courtroom went dead silent. Kowalski was my ace in the hole. We received evidence this morning, Augusto continued, waving a paper, that Mr. Kowalski has an undeclared account in the Cayman Islands, which received a substantial deposit from a rival company of the Valila family days before he agreed to testify. The jury started to whisper. Lucas, beside me, went pale. This makes his testimony not only suspect but bought, Your Honor, Augusto concluded, turning to face me with an icy smile. Dr. Sampaio, in her haste to convict my client, seems to have forgotten to verify the integrity of her own sources. I froze. That was impossible. I had vetted Kowalski inside and out. Unless Augusto was playing dirty, fabricating a money trail, or using illegally obtained information to poison the well before we even started, he was humiliating me publicly. In my court, in my city, I kept my face impassive, a marble mask I learned to wear by watching Augusto Sampaio over breakfast for years. Your Honor, my voice came out steady without a tremor. The prosecution requests a 24-hour recess to authenticate the provenance of this new evidence that the defense has conveniently presented at the last second. Judge Goldberg looked at Augusto, who shrugged with a condescending smile, and then at me. Granted. Tomorrow, 9 a.m. As soon as the gavel banged, I didn't look at my father. I turned to Lucas. I want everything on the Cayman account. Now. Call the contact at the Treasury. If Augusto has this paper, someone leaked it or someone forged it. We spent the night at the DA's office downtown. Cold pizza boxes and bitter coffee were our fuel. At 3 a.m., Lucas let out a stifled cry. Sofia, you won't believe this. He turned the monitor. Augusto's document was real. Engineer Kowalski had received money, but Augusto had omitted the source. The money came from a holding company called Janus Corp., Lucas explained, eyes red with fatigue. Augusto claimed it's a rival of the Valila family. But look at the directors of Janus. I read the names. They were straw men, but the registered address of the company led to an office in Delaware, which paid rent to a subsidiary of Valila Constructions. That I felt a rush of pure adrenaline. Valila wasn't bribed by a rival to lie. Valila was bribed by the defendant himself, Marcus Valila, years ago, to hide the flaws in the project. Augusto was trying to use the bribe his own client paid to discredit the witness who now wanted to tell the truth. It was a masterstroke, dirty and brilliant. He was betting I wouldn't be able to link Janus to Valila in less than 24 hours. He bet against the wrong Sampaio. Print everything, Lucas, I ordered. Let's turn my father's trump card into his client's death sentence. At 9 a.m., the courtroom was packed. The press smelled blood. Augusto was relaxed, chatting with Valila, who looked bored. The judge called us to order. Dr. Sampaio, have you had time to analyze the defense's evidence? I have, Your Honor. And the prosecution withdraws the objection. We would like to accept Dr. Augusto's document as prosecution's Exhibit A. Augusto's smile faltered for the first time. He frowned, adjusting his glasses. He knew I wouldn't surrender that easily. I call Mr. Kowalski to the stand again, I said. Kowalski entered, sweating cold. Mr. Kowalski, I began, holding the paper Augusto had used yesterday. The defense claims you received $50,000 in this Cayman account to lie about the building's safety. Is that true? No, he stammered. Then why is the money there? I asked, walking to the defense table and stopping right in front of Augusto. Maybe because the company that deposited it, Janus Corp., is an arrival. I threw the company flowchart in front of the judge and jury. Janus Corp. is wholly owned by Marcus Valila. You didn't get paid to lie now, Mr. Kowalski. You got paid 3 years ago by the defendant to ignore the cracks in the concrete. Dr. Augusto has just provided us with proof of the original bribe that caused the collapse. The courtroom fell silent. Valila turned white. He grabbed Augusto's arm, whispering furiously that I looked at my father. He was motionless. He hadn't checked the Janus link. He trusted his client's word or his own arrogance. For the first time in my life, I saw the great Augusto Sampaio without an answer. He had fallen into his own trap. No further questions, Your Honor, I concluded, feeling not joy, but an exhausting relief. The jury took only 2 hours. Guilty on all counts. Marcus Valila left in handcuffs, screaming at his lawyers. The press swarmed the exit, flashes popping like fireworks. I stayed behind, packing my papers. Victory tasted metallic. When I walked out the side door of the courthouse, away from the cameras, he was there. Augusto Sampaio was smoking a cigarette, something he had quit doing 10 years ago. He looked older under the harsh afternoon sun of Manhattan. I stopped on the step above him. Did you know it was Valila's money? I asked. I needed to know if he was incompetent or corrupt. He exhaled the smoke, looking at the yellow taxis on Center Street. I knew Kowalski was dirty. I didn't ask who dirted him. Plausible deniability is an art, Sofia. You know that. It's negligence, Dad. And it almost cost a murderer his freedom. He laughed, a dry, humorless sound. He threw the cigarette on the ground and crushed it with his $1,000 Italian leather shoe. You were fast today. The connection to Delaware, it took me 2 days to hide that in the merger paperwork years ago. You found it in one night. I froze. It took me 2 days to hide that. He knew. He was the company's lawyer at the time of construction. He didn't just defend Valila, he helped structure the original scheme. Nausea rose in my throat. You set up Janus. He looked me in the eye, and the usual coldness was there, but mixed with something strange. Pride. You are an excellent prosecutor, Sofia. The best of your generation. Maybe better than I ever was. He straightened his suit jacket. But don't look for me at Thanksgiving. I don't think we have anything left to talk about. He turned and walked down the steps, getting into a black car that was waiting for him. I stood there, alone on the courthouse steps. I had won the case. I had defeated the legend. But as I watched his car disappear into New York traffic, I realized the victory in court had cost me the last chance I had of having a father. I took out my phone and called Lucas. "Let's start the paperwork for the next indictment," I said, my voice hardening. Augusto Sampaio for obstruction of justice and fraud. It was the end of the Sampaio family, and the beginning of my true career.